What's good, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. I am Jamal, your host of the Trap or Die podcast, and I'm here with you all to talk some quarterback. Let's talk Taylor Heinicke, man. What has gotten into the Washington football team since coming out of their bye week? More importantly, what has gotten into the Washington football team's offense? How has Washington been able to dramatically transform their approach, become much more efficient, and find their identity against two top-tier defenses at that in the Carolina Panthers and Tampa Bay Buccaneers when they seemingly couldn't even get right in weeks 1 through 8? If you answered better defense to my first question, you're right. But if you also answer Taylor Heinicke to my second question, you're right too. In the 3 games coming out of their bye week, Taylor Heinicke has completed 69 of 89 passes for 685 yards, 5 touchdowns, 1 turnover, and some timely scrambles and design runs to keep drives alive. Heinicke's 77.5% completion percentage since week 10 is the 3rd highest since that time span. Furthermore, his 112.8 passer rating is the 3rd highest since that time span as well. The Washington football team's offense has been converting on 3rd down and 4th down at a much higher rate and dominating the time of possession with averaging nearly 39 minutes per game in this 3-game win streak. Taylor has been the primary reason for the uptick in offensive production against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Carolina Panthers, and the Seattle Seahawks. It's been all about his decision making. He scrambled when it was needed, shown patience when it was needed, been aggressive when it was needed, all resulting in a quarterback who has seemingly identified the proper ways to play within Scott Turner's offensive scheme. So with that being said, let's take a look at some of the plays that has defined Heinicke's impact since coming out of the bye week for the Washington football team. All right, so as we go through this breakdown, we need to understand what has gotten to, or an overview of sorts, what has gotten to this team on the offensive side of the football. And the biggest thing is just being precise, executing, and converting in critical situations. Now, one of the first plays that I want to show you all is just understanding Taylor Heinicke's ability to show or display active discernment in the pocket. Now, it'll be a common theme as we go through these clips is understanding Taylor's ability or matter of fact, his ability to pick up when he needs to stay in the pocket a little bit longer, when he needs to get the ball out quicker, or when he needs to take off the run, as opposed to like an actual designed quarterback run. Because Taylor Heinicke has not ran the ball that much out of the bye week. I think he's had under 10 carries. However, majority of his carries in which he's decided to scramble has been effective. But as a passer in the pocket, these are some of the things that actually sticks out well, is just understanding where his protection is, and how his protection is holding up. Obviously, in the first play, this is a 2nd and 9 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say this is his best play, but where his reads take him initially, his first read makes it difficult for him to complete the pass a little bit sooner. However, Taylor Heinicke does understand that he has he has three rushers heading his way, but he also has 5 in protection. If you've seen it initially, you have Antonio Gibson out wide as a receiver in this play. So it's an empty set. He's back there with four defenders looking like they're going to rush, and then Vita Vea ends up coming back in pass coverage, which is, I mean, good luck to them. It worked out initially, but as you can see, initially Taylor Heinicke looked left. He was looking at Terry and he was looking at Antonio Gibson, but Antonio Gibson was covered. Now he looks center, where he has Vita Vea, and I can't see who that is because it's a little grainy. It is what it is. But obviously, then you have Adam Humphries out wide. The issue with the Adam Humphries play, because while he looks open, he has about 5 to 7 yards of separation between the defender and himself. The issue is by the time Taylor Heinicke by the time Taylor Heinicke even looks at him and identifies that he is somewhat open, he has to then make the throw. And that's going to be a difficult throw given that the cornerback's ability to have eyes on quarterback in a zone coverage concept. If Taylor Heinicke makes that throw, he's going to break on it. He's going to take off. It's a pick 6. So we're going to let this play develop. And you can see with Taylor Heinicke, and I'll rewind it just a little bit. You can see that he does understand it. He has the majority of blocks, so he can sit a little bit. He doesn't have to escape, even though he has tons of room to run. But why would he do that when he has to get it out to his playmakers who can do the job for him? He ends up passing to Terry McLaurin, who ends up getting open, just sitting around and filling the zone. Boom, 2nd and 9 turns to 3rd and 1. And one of the things that we're not understanding here, because you have to remember, Washington's offense has been one of the worst third down offenses in the NFL heading into the bye week. The best way to counter that is to put yourself in better 3rd and 1s or third down situations. That's 3rd and 4 or better. 3rd and 4, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1, you're winning. This is a 3rd and 7 for Washington on that same drive. As we say, empty set again. And then you have Antonio Gibson out wide alongside Terry McLaurin. I guess one of the things that Washington wanted to do early on, because Antonio Gibson had a few looks where he was out wide and actually a few conversions on 3rd down in an empty set look. It's just obviously spreading the Tampa Bay Buccaneers out wide, isolating each and every single defensive back and linebacker on a playmaker for Washington. Obviously is the goal. Are they going to man up or are they going to stay in zone coverage? So Tampa Bay, early on, what they wanted to show Taylor Heinicke was a variety of different looks. And I think Scott Turner did an excellent job in preparing Heinicke, but also countering that with the looks that they gave Tampa Bay. Because you really didn't see Antonio Gibson out. You didn't really see that many empty sets, especially utilizing Antonio Gibson as a running back. But as you can see here, what we'll show is another look where you have what looks to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rushers. You have 7 in the box, but you have 5 rushers. What it looks like, obviously, with 2 defensive linemen and 3 additional rushers, looking like a blitz coming his way. However, at the snap, you'll see they are sending 5, which is a blitz, but 1 drops back. So you have a 5-on-5 look, and what seems to be Washington picking up the pass protection really well against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The slant should be open, and that's what you have Antonio Gibson running right now. So with his back or his sprint towards the tight end to cover the middle of the field, you have a void right here where he leaves to hit Antonio Gibson on that slant. And on 3rd and 7, that's exactly what you do. So this next play, you have a 3rd and 6, I believe, second quarter, different drive than one of the ones that we're showing you, or that I was showing you earlier. And you have a look in which, obviously, you can see right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, what seems to be 6 rushers, or 6 rushers for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Obviously, 6 rushers meaning 2 blitzing defenders. And you have a look where Washington, again, is seemingly prepared from a schematical standpoint, but also where Taylor Heinicke knows what's coming and understands that he does have the easiest read. He just has to make the throw. And obviously, as we know, the issue with Taylor Heinicke post or pre-bye week has been his ball placement, and it still exists to some degree. I think the Panthers game was one of the strongest ones that he's had in terms of accuracy and understanding where to go with the football. Taylor Heinicke understands that he has 3 in the route: DeAndre, Terry McLaurin, and Adam, and everybody else is max protection. So what looks like 6 ends up being 6 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Everybody else is in max protection. So you have a 3-man route, and you have DeAndre Carter, which he's ended up running a corner route or flag. I'm in flag football, by the way. So please, when we talk about NFL concept routes and stuff like that, I mix things up a lot. But, that's me being true to myself and true to you all for those who are watching. But ends up running essentially a corner route to the end zone. And obviously, when you have 6 rushing, it's essentially a man-to-man look, and Washington is prepared for that. And you have 30 lined up on DeAndre Carter. 30 is already beat because he had inside leverage. He gave away the sideline already. All Taylor Heinicke has to do is make the throw, and boom, perfect placement. Now, there's one thing that I do want to show you that's a give and take with Taylor Heinicke, is understanding how he operates in the pocket. He's maneuvering well for the most part, but at the same time, when you look at some of these plays that can also show a potential that he can revert back to pre-bye week, Taylor Heinicke is understanding how he maneuvers in the pocket. So what I'm about to show you all is a good play. It's a good play from Taylor Heinicke, understanding where your crosser is going to be. Cam Sims right here, coming flat across the line off the play action look for the Washington football team. However, what you see is Taylor Heinicke is going to sense pressure, maneuvers in the pocket well. Like that's exactly what you want to do for a quarterback who senses pressure. Step up in the pocket, create your space, and then continue to look downfield. Like, don't take your eyes off downfield, right? But the bad part is right there. and you probably missed it. And in the clips that I may show you further, is also other examples of this same thing. Taylor Heinicke is leaning backwards, throwing off his back foot. While the pass gets there to Cam Sims, this is something to be wary about, because that pass isn't always going to get there to the next receiver. And depending on the depth of the throw, depending on how far he has to throw the ball downfield, that ball may end up throwing short. This ball may end up throwing overthrown, anything like that, an inaccurate pass, and all he had to do is step into the throw. However, because this play was a connection, it ends up working out for the Washington football team. But at the same time, I don't really like a quarterback in that situation where he has the time, he has the ability to set his feet and throw the ball, make the throw. Those type of things can get you in trouble. But that's one play that I wanted to fit in there, just understanding the situation that Heinicke was in. He did really good in the pocket, stepping up and avoiding the pressure. However, he didn't have to go as far as throwing off his back foot. So right here is a 3rd and 4 for Taylor Heinicke and company. And the reason why I like this is because Taylor Heinicke, again, when we talk about the conversions and obviously Washington's ability to stay on the field, is something that they weren't able to do pre-bye week. And 3rd and 4 in this play, Taylor Heinicke drops back, understands the coverage, understanding what's the anticipation, things like that, understanding where these guys are going to be at the break of their routes or at the top of their routes, and understanding what the coverage is going to look like. And for Washington, I think I like this concept because it fits in well with how Tampa Bay seemingly defended this route or these route concepts. And what seems to be, for me, in my opinion, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, if they know a little bit better, it's like a shell coverage, but also a match coverage. So while it's a zone look, and also can turn into a man concept, depending on where these where these receivers are taking the Tampa Bay defenders. And for Washington, they had a double slant on the right side of the offense with Terry and DeAndre Carter. But then you have a breaking in / curl where Adam Humphries on the left side of the offense is just curling in front of the linebacker to keep him short and keep him from peeling back behind him, because what's going to be behind him is a corner post of sorts. The way John Bates ran it, it seemed like it was a corner post. It may have just been a traditional post, but the way he ran it made it seem like it was a corner post. He wanted to take a little bit outside before he broke in. So that's what's going to be behind Adam Humphries. And obviously, as you can see right here, they're sending 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people. Taylor Heinicke does have this person in his face. And I think one of the things for Taylor is understanding that sometimes you may take a hit, sometimes that you do have pressure in your face, but what you got to do is make the throw and be accurate. And this is an improvement for the most part of what we're seeing from Taylor Heinicke, is converting in bid situations, because right before this drive, Tampa Bay Buccaneers scored a touchdown to close the gap. So you're extending the drive in big moments, and this is what you get right there. To show it again, you have, again, the double slant concept on the top of the screen. You have Adam Humphries behind John Bates, running to the center and curling. And you have this guy running to the flats. And you have anybody who's out here for 35, he's just staying in front. He's not letting anybody get behind him. So when you have John Bates run out here, but create that small space of separation, so Taylor Heinicke can deliver a good ball behind the linebackers and in between the two defenders that's deep, the safety and the corner. John Bates creates that small room of separation, and you have that completion right there, a tough catch, because you may get hit. You converted 3rd and 4 for, I believe that was 18 yards. All right, y'all. So as we transition to this Panthers game, one of the things that really stood out for me with Taylor is just how cool, calm, and collected he was throughout the game. There was pressure moments throughout the entirety of the game, and it seemingly just did not faze Taylor. There was plenty of moments in the pocket where he felt some trash at his feet, as some of the quarterbacks would like to call it in Washington franchise recent history. But at the same time, Taylor Heinicke delivered in clutch moments, throwing with accuracy over the middle, throwing with precision in tight spaces, but also finding the open voids in the zone coverages and stuff like that, taking advantage of what Carolina presented to him on multiple occasions. And truth be told, many have said it. I've said it before on our podcast and stuff like that, but I'll say it again as we look through the film. This was Taylor Heinicke's best game. I don't think there was any play in which he had a possible turnover from his side or his viewpoint, excuse me. I was really impressed with his game and a ton of things to be proud of or look forward to as a result of the Carolina Panthers game for Taylor Heinicke, if you are a fan of him and hoping that he can cement himself as possible quarterback one material for the future of the Washington football team. So as we look through the first play to set things up, obviously we've seen this thing 1,000 times before, but Carolina scores in their first drive, goes up 7-0. Washington ends up punting on their corresponding drive, but on their second drive of the game, things start to settle down for both Taylor Heinicke and the rest of the team. Everybody starts to settle in, and there's an opportunity to start moving the football. And on this first play, first and 10 at the 23 for Washington, you'll see this is the play to Terry McLaurin where he has a deep crosser over the middle. And what's special about this play isn't necessarily, the read that he took or anything. Terry McLaurin was always his number one read, right? But it's where he put the ball. And another thing, as we talk about pass protection, is just knowing he has really good, solid pass protection. The Carolina Panthers send how many? They send 1, 2, 3, 4, and they send. I think Bates was on a block and release, so he had to chip the end to a degree, or the end took him. Whatever. Either way, it slowed down his route. But at the same time, in the man coverage, with the single high over here, you have one crosser over the middle, and the placement couldn't been any better. It's not even just him throwing it to an open spot, but it's also leading him upfield at the same time. So you get a quarterback in Taylor Heinicke who could have led him to the sideline, but instead let him out here, the 45-yard line, where he has an opportunity to cut it upfield if he wants to. And that's exactly what he tried to do before he ended up getting tackled. This second play, I loved it. 3rd and 9 at the Washington 35. The clock is ticking down to head to the second quarter. I don't think a lot of people have said this, and it should have been said a lot. I don't think a lot of people have said this, but I think the goal here wasn't necessarily to just take things into the second quarter, but the perception and understanding that this is what NFL teams do. This is what we've seen 1,000 times before. It's all subtle and it's all within the game. It's a game within the game. And the Carolina Panthers weren't necessarily expecting the play to be snapped. And you can tell them how they're moving right now. They're still communicating at the snap of the ball. You see this guy right here talking to the cornerback. They're still communicating on the other end. They're not even set. Like, they're just staring at the time of the snap. And obviously what that does while they're communicating, he knows that Terry McLaurin is going deep. He knows Terry McLaurin is coming his way. He doesn't know he's coming deep. He's just expecting a play to get ran, and they're just going to try and steal some yards. But not only do they steal some yards, and let's go back, Taylor Heinicke gives Terry McLaurin a shot. He has the protection. He has the arm strength to get it downfield to give Terry an opportunity in one-on-one coverage, but also knows that the safety is just late. And not only is he late, he's supposed to be over top of his corner. He's supposed to be the deepest man out here. He's obviously looking at the tight end and looking at the receiver, and that's what allows Taylor Heinicke to take this shot. But he's not supposed to be this close to the line of scrimmage. Or excuse me, not to the line of scrimmage, but he's not supposed to be this close to either one of these guys. Terry McLaurin gets behind this guy. And that's what you get, a result of a big play. This is from a quarterback who has been playing confident, who has the cool, calm, and collected that we speak of, but also is seeing the field well and understanding when to take his opportunities downfield. Another one, 2nd and 5 on the Carolina 6-yard line, a touchdown to Cam Sims. You'll see the tight window opportunities that's presented to Taylor Heinicke, and obviously just being as accurate as possible. I'll just let it run out. Obviously, you see the RPO option, run pass option, where he has the opportunity to hand it off to the running back, or if he sees the void in the coverage from the Carolina Panthers, he can dump it off, or I mean not dump it off, but throw it to his receiver. You have Terry McLaurin and Cam Sims in routes, and obviously Cam Sims is the beneficiary of the Carolina Panthers biting on the run play. And we'll show a different angle from it right here. Great pass protection up front. His key, obviously he's looking at 7 and see what 7 does, but that's not where he's going. He's looking at 7. He wants 21 to bite down too. He wants number 4 to bite down, and he's successful in all 3 aspects. He has 7 who takes the look of the running back, and then he has 4 and 21 who thinks that it's a run play. So what do you have behind 21, and what do you have behind 4 who bit a little bit too hard on this play? You have a backside slant coming their way, and Cam Sims, and he drills it. It's a perfect pass, literally perfect pass. You can't get any better, and you have no room for error in an opportunity like that. Taylor Heinicke drills it. And then on this next play, you have a 3rd and 9 at the Carolina 24. And when we talk about how Washington's offense has improved throughout this second half of the season, or their post-bye week, it's just understanding the opportunities of conversions, 3rd downs, red zones, but also the quarterback playing well, being accurate and timely, and everybody doing their job and dialing up the right plays as well from a coordinator standpoint. Right here is Washington is trailing 14-7. Washington has the ball obviously in Carolina's territory, but they're down 14-7 with the opportunity to extend the drive on a 3rd and long. A 3rd and long, which is difficult for anybody, but much more difficult against a solid defense who's communicative, faster, and just plays fundamentally sound across the board. Where Washington has this matchup one, it's just understanding these 2 guys right here, this slot man covering Terry McLaurin, and this safety who's jumping on anything right here. What that does, because he's so deep, 30, I can't see who 30 is, but because he's so deep, obviously leaves room for the double slants behind Terry McLaurin, who's running a drag route, to have a small window of opportunity to catch the ball. Somebody's going to take a big hit, but catch the ball and move the sticks. So this is a perfectly dialed up play and perfect execution from the snap, the throw, and the read. And you get a 1st down right here. So let's go ahead and run it back. As you can see, again, this safety's too far back. I don't understand why he was back there to begin with, but he's too far back. You have Terry McLaurin again crossing. Well, 24s. He was already given inside leverage because he has that safety help. So he's crossing that safety, but right behind him, you have 2 people that you're going to target. You're going to target 13, or you're going to target number 1. Number 1 is the much more difficult throw because anything behind 24, he has an opportunity to stop him short. And 9 is going to break on anything. I think that's 9, I believe. But 9 is going to break on anything coming up right here. So it's looking like a pick 6. So who do you have right behind him? You have Adam Humphries hitting him at the 3 or 4 yard to gain line. And at the time he gets the ball, he's untouched. You have that opportunity to create a 1st down, extending your drive, and a situation where Washington ultimately converts the touchdown to tie the game up at 14-14. And as we speak of the tying touchdown, it is to Terry McLaurin. And this one is to show you all 2 things, a positive and a negative. The positive is Taylor Heinicke is feeling himself. I mean, it is what it is, and you can do nothing but respect that and love that from a quarterback who is playing for your actual football team, the fan that you are, the football team in which you are a fan of, right? You can take nothing away from Taylor Heinicke in that regard. So we're going to show the play, the confidence to make that throw, the confidence to give Terry McLaurin an opportunity in the end zone, and giving it to your number 1 guy is only thing you can ask for. However, the only thing this is an issue is it only works if it's a positive play. It only works if Terry McLaurin catches the pass. In reality, I love a quarterback who's going to play that confident, who's going to give his receivers a chance. That's all we asked for. Ryan Fitzpatrick, when he came in here, we said that he was going to give his guys a chance. Taylor Heinicke does the same thing. However, in any other situation in which 7 is in a good position or has a better awareness of where he's at to make a play, this is a bad throw. I feel like it was a dangerous throw. I feel like it was a dangerous decision. Too dangerous of a decision. Again, it worked out for Washington, right? But at the same time, when you have much more opportunities, let's say out of 10 opportunities, this is a play where I feel like it can only work for 40% of the time. Maybe 50, but 50 or 40% of the time. So again, the confidence that he's playing, this man is hot, he's on fire, and it worked out for Washington. You can't take nothing away from that in that regard. But you kind of want to keep your eyes on stuff like that, because Taylor, while he's hot, sometimes when you live and die with things like that, you also die. And you got to be careful. And lastly, the clip that I want to show you before we get out of here is the 3rd and 5 from midfield for the Washington football team. As we continue to talk about these things, Taylor Heinicke is playing with confidence, poise, and also understanding how important these 3rd down situations are. And these are big moments, but I think that the calmness of where he's at from a mental standpoint, playing with the patience and working through his reads and making sure that he actually operates the football and the scheme within the game itself is making sure that he's as successful as possible on each and every play. With that being said, you have this opportunity to give the ball to Cam Sims beyond the sticks, well beyond the sticks, who's running a deep dig, which is about 5 or 7 yards further than the actual first down marker. So he ultimately ends up running like a 10-yard route, 10 to 12-yard route behind the linebacker, but in front of the safeties. And it creates this small window where Taylor Heinicke has to complete the pass. And what works out well is the pass protection, but also understanding Taylor Heinicke is putting himself in great position by working the reads. Cam Sims isn't his first read, or it may have been, and he goes back to him so he can have that window, that small window to complete a pass, which is, hard to do in the NFL. So we're going to run it. And as you can see, that window was much more larger because he's able to first check down or check this route. Jaden McKissick ends up running an angle route. And then John Bates, clearly they got crossed up right there. And he notices it pretty early that this isn't going to work. So what is his next best read is to get behind this linebacker and hit Cam Sims, because he's working from left to middle to right. Cam Sims, he sees that he's open. You see how high this guy had to jump for the ball. And it ends up working out well for Washington because it's a perfectly placed ball. Again, behind the linebacker and in front of the safeties. Cam Sims does his job, but so does Taylor Heinicke. He does his job to a T, working the reads from the left side of the field to the right. From the left side of the field to the middle of the field, and then ultimately would have been to the right. If not the right, he would have ended up taking off or finding a way to extend the play with his legs. Now, this Seahawks game was very challenging for Washington in general. Essentially you dominate the game from an offensive and defensive perspective, but at the same time, the score was always within the 1-score possession. If you watched it, you kind of knew at the end, Seattle had a chance to even steal the game, converting an onside kick. However, their guy was in an illegal formation. So Washington is saved and wins the game 17-15. Heinicke was really efficient on the day, 27-35 for 223 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. And that's where we're going to start, actually, is the interception for Taylor Heinicke. It's going to be quick and simple, but one of the things that I tweeted out initially when this happened was, for Heinicke, the pass is as good as it's going to get, and I'm going to go ahead and run it. The issue is he should have never thrown it. And that's kind of where I was in the snap, watching it live, and obviously on the replay as well, that he shouldn't have thrown this. And that's kind of what you get. You get a ball in the air when you throw it late like that. But let's go ahead and rewind it for a quick second. What appears to be cover 2. Bobby Wagner is going to take this man up the middle, and that's his role. Obviously, you have 2 sideline routes for Terry and Cam. So to trying to isolate the safety, split them and have that little crease over the middle. And I think for Taylor, if you're going to throw it, I think the ball needs to be out now and in between the hashes. Not literally, but like a little bit out here in between the hashes. So these safeties won't be able to converge on Logan so soon. However, Bobby has an opportunity to turn his head around. He ultimately deflects the football, and the ball goes up in the air, making it a difficult catch for Logan to begin with. And he takes the big hit as well on this play. So if you're going to throw it, it needs to be thrown way earlier than in which he threw it, because he had a small area of separation, and it would have been a catch had Bobby Wagner not seen the football coming. So 2 things: good play on Bobby, bad play on Taylor. But that's it wasn't really a lot of bad plays on Taylor's behalf in the Seahawks game. This second play for Taylor that I'm showing, it was a very impressive play. And one of the continued themes when we talk about extending drives and converting in key situations and just making the proper throws and the right reads, this is probably one of his better throws of the day. Throwing it in rhythm. He recovered from a pressure. He eluded the pressure, and he was able to make a tight, accurate sideline throw to Logan Thomas in between some defenders, and it was just impressive to see. Obviously, as you see, 94 comes free. He's able to elude 94 and save his right tackle from 97, who beat him as well inside. He eludes both of them and makes a tight sideline throw to Logan Thomas. Here's another angle for it. Tight sideline throw, 1st and 10, ball goes for 14. You extend the drive, and it's another impressive play for Taylor Heinicke in this Seahawks game. A team, and mind you, the Seattle Seahawks, when people talk about them having a sorry defense, look, statistically from the surface, their defense wasn't good, or is not good, excuse me. However, since Russell Wilson came back, and even like the latter 2 games for Geno Smith when he was in, the defense has stepped up tremendously, getting off the field on 3rd downs, playing well in the red zone, and just essentially being physical and holding or limiting of offenses in points as well. I think they're top 7 or top 10 in points allowed. So for Washington and Washington fans who thought you were just supposed to steamroll the Seahawks, it was always going to be difficult, and it was displayed in this game. Multiple situations where Seahawks got off the field defensively. This is kind of what you ran into. And for Taylor Heinicke to extend the drive on a 1st and 10 versus facing a 3rd down, and having to face that 3rd down opportunity, it was very key for Washington, who ultimately ended up running 79 plays on the day. Now, this play that we're about to show here is it's a coverage beater scheme play that I loved. But at the same time, it's another example of Taylor Heinicke identifying the right way to play within Scott Turner's scheme, and it was executed flawlessly. So Seattle is in a disguised look right now, and Washington is essentially prepared for it. This play is going to the running back all the way. Now, for the goal here for Washington was to isolate the defenders playing in the cover 2 hook and flats. Like, you don't want anybody attacking Antonio Gibson before he can even get the ball, right? So you're going to see an out, an in, and a fly route. So I think Diami is number 2. Yeah, I can't see the number, but it looks like number 2. Ends up running a fly route, and he wants to have the outside release to have his back to the quarterback. That's what you want. And then you have the out route over here. You have the out route and you have the in route. The out route to isolate this man. The in route to isolate Bobby Wagner. And then In between the out routes, you have the angle route coming right behind these guys. So you have a small window that you hit to extend the drive. Mind you, this is 1st and 10. So the idea of this isn't necessarily to get a first down. If you do get a first down, okay, it works. But at the same time, you're here to increase your opportunity or percentages on 2nd and 3rd down with this type of concept beater. And you'll see it unfold right here. The out, excuse me, I'm tripping. The out, the in. You have the fly route. They're still communicating. You have this guy, don't know which one to take. And first off, it doesn't matter because, again, when you talk about isolating, he's supposed to take this out route initially. He's supposed to. Bobby is supposed to take that in route. He ended up giving up. He had outside leverage, so he ended up giving up the inside. So he had eyes on quarterback ultimately, and he had 33 who ended up approaching his zone. But at the same time, look at the space right here for Antonio. And that was the goal all along. Get him the ball in the cover 2. Excuse me. Get him the ball in the cover 2 zone beater, and that's what you get. And he makes Bobby Wagner miss an all-pro future Hall of Famer. Right here, you'll see Taylor Heinicke in another situation when we talk about when he's shown patience when it was needed, aggression when it was needed, and understanding when to run and extend drives himself, right? This is an example of patience. And we'll show this play against the Seahawks where it is a 2-man route. And then we have the tight end on the block and release. Two tight ends who stays in. One is on a block and release who just seeps out in the seam or in the flat, excuse me. And then you have McKissick in a block and release as well. Play action look. You have a post or a deep crosser, and he's running a corner route. I think the issue here, though, and we'll let it play out, is that while it was taken and you had a small opportunity if you wanted to hit that, it would have been a very difficult throw. It would have been a greedy throw. And understanding the context of the game, understanding that it's still within one possession and you have to extend drives. Taylor Heinicke did an excellent job understanding that this was not going to be an ideal look. He waited until the very last second, and as you can see, Logan is on the block and release. He has people in front of him, but he still has space if he wanted to throw it. But then J.D. McKissick is a guy who's wide open. And if he just dumps it off to J.D. McKissick, you'll see he ends up getting 9 yards. This play right here for Washington was critical. It was crucial, and it was absolutely imperative that they converted. Now, if I can find more adjectives to describe this drive and this play, I would do so off the top of my head, but I ain't going to do it. I ran out of adjectives off the top of my head. But to get back to this, this is in the midst of a 16-play drive that went 84 yards, I believe, and chewed off 8 minutes and 30 seconds off the clock. A 4th and 4 at the end of the game. Washington is up by 8 points, and they're essentially driving to seal the game off. And the reason why you're going for it, for context purposes, Joey Sly's injured. You can't kick the field goal right here, and Trust Wade doesn't have the distance right here just yet. And you have to find a way to make your kicker, if Trust Wade ends up kicking the ball, and you have to make sure that he's comfortable and put him in a better position. And this is what they're trying to do, convert on 4th down. Like, when you're in this situation, you can't punt it, you know? So you got to go for it. And obviously Ron Rivera trusts his defense, so it doesn't even matter the way they've been playing so far in this game. So we're going to go ahead and ride this out. And the protection is great. The throw is even better. Logan Thomas actually almost ruined it because he thought the ball was going to him. But as you'll see here, we'll run it back. So you have crossers, a wheel, and a corner route. You have the corner route from Adam Humphries at the top of the screen. You have the crosser between Terry and Logan Thomas. You have the wheel route on the sideline to occupy the safety man over here. And you'll see Adams take the safety. You see Adam Humphries. I don't know, Adams as in Jamal Adams. I'm sorry, I said Adams twice. So you have Jamal Adams taking the wheel route. You have Adam Humphries running the corner, occupying 2 cornerbacks at the same time, or 2 defensive backs at the same time. And then you have confusion right here. You have the crosser curl for Logan. And he occupies 3 people, leaving essentially DeAndre Carter one-on-one with the safety, who the safety may believe that he's pushing further into the field. However, DeAndre is running that curl route. So you have, 6 or 7, maybe close to 10 yards of separation between Logan, Bobby, and 3, I believe is, I don't know who 3 is. I'm not going to sit here and act like I know. And then you have him right here, and the precision from Taylor Heinicke on 4th down in this clutch moment to first off deliver a perfect pass that Logan Thomas almost ruined. He almost blew the play thinking that it was going to him. I guess he forgot that DeAndre was right behind him. And even if he got it, if he caught that ball, he's short. So this is actually frustrating me as I'm watching it. But DeAndre is right here, sitting back here, and for Taylor to throw it that high was great because DeAndre had to make a play too, jumping a little bit. You're not going to see it from this angle, but he had to get up there a little bit to make that catch. But he catches it, extends it, and I think the 4th and 4 ends up going for 4th and 14. So excellent play. The last play that we have for the Seahawks game is the 4th and goal. Same drive as DeAndre Carter. And while the play was overturned, we're not going to get into the science of what was and what wasn't a catch or whatever and how they overturned it. We're showing this clip in the assumption that it was a catch, right? Taylor Heinicke, another 4th down. When we talk about the growth and how he's performing better, is this patience thing once again. In the red zone, opportunities are created when you extend plays and you have that skill set to extend plays. And Taylor Heinicke is very aware of the down, but he also is very aware that he has to continue to buy time, and he does this all the time. We've seen clips of it in this film session, but he does this all the time where if you're not extending plays and creating opportunities for your playmakers to find that open void in the zone coverages, then your play is dead. And the offense looks terrible, and you don't get the credit for anything. We're gonna run it. As you can see, right now, nobody's open. You have, him in the flat. You have your receiver in the flat, but guess who's coming down to the open man? Nobody's open except for him if you hit him right now. So he's running down, and automatically within 2 seconds, Jared Patterson is covered. So he's still buying time. Logan Thomas comes down, extends the play, good throw, should have been a touchdown, whatever, right? But when we talk about buying time again, this is what we mean, man. Just buying time, extending plays, giving your receivers an opportunity to get open. All right, so if you stuck with me that long, that wraps it up for our film session of Taylor Heinicke post-bye week against the Seattle Seahawks, the Carolina Panthers, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. If you like what you saw, please let me know in the comments. Feedback is important and it's much appreciated, and we can continue doing this some type of way moving forward. I'm definitely interested in seeing what you all think and how you all feel about this film session. But my overall thoughts on Taylor Heinicke, it has not changed. And if you all aren't familiar with my thoughts, is just understanding that Taylor Heinicke is a guy who is a spot starter right now, but he's shown improvement each and every step of the way. 3 games in a row is really good to change the narrative, and I'm very impressed with his play these past 3 weeks, and understanding that he's understanding what Scott Turner wants him to do. He's understanding the importance of extending plays and taking selectively aggressive shots, but also playing patient. Understanding positive yards is positive for the offense. These drives that they're extending, look, you had 41 minutes against the Seattle Seahawks. 41 minutes time of possession. That is incredible. That is amazing. And that's a lot of credit to the run game, but also a lot of credit to Taylor Heinicke making the smart reads and smart decisions. So these next 6 games, they're going to be really important. You have 5 division games coming up after the Las Vegas Raiders. But at the same time, Taylor Heinicke is a guy who is improving, who is forcing us to change the narrative and change our opinion on him. And I have nothing negative to say about him right now. I am thinking that in 2022, and I've been thought this because it makes no sense to say otherwise, but in 2022, he's on a 2-year deal. He will be coming back. He's earned his spot to come back. But if you're looking for a veteran, if you're looking for an upgrade, it needs to be a clear upgrade from Taylor Heinicke. It cannot be somebody who is in the mix of competing for that starting role. It needs to be given to a guy who is either going to be the future of the franchise, or somebody who's going to be here for 3 or 4 years as that starter as we push for a Super Bowl from the Washington football team. So I'm out of here.